Hello, hello, hello. There you go. Sounds like it's working now. Dude, I don't get it. I don't get why OBS does that. It's so annoying. How's it going, guys? Good morning. Everyone's piling in. Chocolate, Michu, what's going on? Wayne's, Bullfrog, Wellbeeb, what's going on, dude? Exile, Nizzle Dizzle, how we doing, guys? Good morning, good morning. All right, so I got a couple things to run through, and we'll jump into the market. I've taken one trade so far this morning, and then we can talk about Tesla if you want to talk about Tesla. But let's look at the market first, because that's what Pete always does, and that's what Harry always does. All right, let's. I mean, first of all, if you're not looking at nuclear today, what are you doing, boss? What are you doing? All right, we'll just look at VU because VU is the same thing, right? Camels. Who doesn't love a good camel kiss? All right, so we're over here, right? What does this look like to you? Talked about this the other day. Gap up through the SMAs, pull back, bounce off the SMAs, next leg higher. This is a bull flag. This is like straight, easy bull flag. And when you're bull flagging, you're gonna get a lot of these H minus pullback breaches, breakouts, etc. Whatever you want to call that. Why did I say that so weird? So yeah, keep that in mind, and that's what we're seeing, right? And what have we been doing? We've been hitting these key cloud levels. On VU, we're above the cloud. Let's see what it looks like on SPY. I think we're above the cloud on SPY. Why look at VU instead of SPY? Because camels, yeah. Well, I can look at SPY if you want, but I think it's going to be pretty tough for you guys to see all the candles because I have it so marked up. So sometimes I just swap it out as a, just so you guys can see. But yes, where are we now? We are above the top of the cloud. The last cloud level was 603.57. When you're above the top of the cloud, it gets thin up here, it gets a little choppier, but we're also looking at what? Testing all-time highs. So you had some horizontal levels that are coming in up here now that could be relevant. You have a VWAPs that could be relevant. The last H minus that was relevant went through May 19th. So we've been on this pretty much straight move up. And if you go back and look at the videos that I've had in the last week, we were talking about, we think there's a world where this 50 continues back up. So we'll look at VU again just so you can see where the 50 continues back up here, 200 continues here. You get golden cross of the 100 and of the 200, which is what? Super bullish in theory. This move has to continue higher in order for that to happen. And this move, to me, is a continuation of testing the 8, testing the 15, testing the 21, and then even if necessary the 20 and then the 200, which may still happen. But what do we have coming in right now? We have a lot of economic news coming in. Yeah, I'll lower the music a little bit. Sorry about that. You have the economic news coming in around CPI that happened this morning. It came in really soft, and then the market bounced. So that's definitely interesting. We'll take a look at that. Give me 1 second here. All right, sorry about that. Just fiddling with the headset. So where were we? Yeah, so you have the potential for these golden crosses. You have this market that is just resilient as all hell through here. Almost no pullbacks. Almost no pullbacks. You got one pullback on Thursday that tested the 8 and bounced. You tested the 8 and the 15 in here a couple times, and now look at the 20. We're just going to ride the 20 and the 15. Now, do I still expect a pullback here? Probably. We're breaking out of another H+. You had a couple that are coming through March 26th, one through March 7th. Definitely some relative ones, right, that I think are important. And so you should keep those in mind. You're going to have horizontal that's coming in here. And as you get up here, every single candle, open and close, starts becoming horizontal resistance. Um, and when you're getting a lot of touches across multiple candles, you know that there's going to be a lot of resistance there, right? And so that's why there's a lot of lines up here. You can start drawing them in. It's, to me, fairly obvious where some of this resistance is going to be, right? And all you can do is say, okay, well, let's see. You know, how are these levels impacted by what I'm seeing here in terms of price action? So yeah, it starts to get ugly, but look, there's all these levels that are coming in. And so we need to see how we're going to test them. Now, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, look at this. There's so many levels in here. There's so many levels in here. And that's what happens when you get above the cloud. And that's okay. We're bullish. There's a lot of momentum here, right? But something to consider. All right. I tried a new playlist today, and I'm not liking it. Let's see what this looks like. Sure, try it out. So yeah, pretty bullish. And what did we get this morning? You had this move up off of the news, right? So we talk about CPI that came through this morning. CPI came in at 0.1%. You know, below the forecast. That's pretty soft. With everything that's happening, with all the news that you hear around the world, around, you know, raising costs and the impacts from the tariffs. I don't know, but price action says it doesn't care. The CPI says it doesn't care. I do notice that they said that they were going to stop sampling as many people for CPI calculations and surveys. What does that tell you? When you reduce the sample size on anything that you're looking at, that tells you that the accuracy of those measurements are probably not as good. Now, I've had questions about how accurate CPI, PPI, and inflation overall, even jobs, is being calculated. Even going back into the last presidency, like the last administration, I think they were fudging the numbers there too. And or at least, you know, sending out a number that was maybe a little inflated, a little soft, and then going back and revising said numbers, you know, later on in the reporting period. So, you know that some of these numbers are important to Trump. He wouldn't be sitting there and bitching at Jay Powell if they weren't. Their relation to the bond market, likely important. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback here. There's a pivot point on SPY. Called that out in the Discord. 604. 67, and these green dots and the red dots are the pivots, right? I use it on the intraday on the M5 chart. There is an indicator. It is standard on TradingView, just called Pivot Point by H. Potter. I quite like it, and I've seen a ton of relevance to these levels. So I think they're important. Izzy and I had a good conversation about it a while back. Oh, look at NNE go. Got an alert on it. I don't know what this is. There is some math associated with it, so you could check that out. But I think there's some relevance there. We know that nuclear has been on an absolute tear this morning. You could have looked at ACLO, you could have looked at SMR, you could have looked at NNE. I traded NNE this morning for a quick trade. Wow, a flyer. I actually just traded it off this pivot point up to the horizontal, and it's still going, man. These stocks are just on fire. To me, it looked like, hey, there's a little bit more of a room here to this H minus. ACLO is taking new all-time highs, and yeah, this is momentum. People are just going to keep piling in, which they have. Still a good trade. I mean, it's non-stop. Look at that, 26% today. That is total Momo, right? SMR was another one you could have taken, but I just did a quick little day trade, size down, lotto-y calls on NNE, and took 80%. And if you know my size, that's a decent win. So yeah, and look at that, it's even making new highs today. Let's see what those contracts are worth. Yeah, those contracts are worth 250 a pop now. I bought them for 115. I sold them for 210. And yeah, they're worth 230, 240 now. I had 17 of those, so you do the math. And that was a 7-minute trade. that's what day trading is sometimes, right? If you're going to trade news, if you're going to trade Momo, if you're going to do that, well, you better have a quick and clear understanding of what your target is. Set your limit order where you'd like to take profit, and be okay with, whatever that profit looks like. I was having a conversation with Dr. Trade earlier. I don't know if he's in here. Let's see. Doesn't look like it. I'll summon him. All right, we'll summon him. When he gets in here, we'll tell the story. But yeah, there's a conversation to be had around the evolution of yourself as a trader. Sorry, I'm reading some news. There's a conversation to be had about yourself as a trader. Okay, I think he's coming in here. Yeah, so there's a conversation to be had about yourself as a trader and your evolution. And Dr. Trade said, I will tell you what I hate. He said, I hate is a strong word, but I don't like leaving gains on the table. And I said, LOL. He said, I'm sure no one does. And I said, you will always do that. And us as traders, we will always leave gains on the table. Because ideally you're taking profits into strength, especially in this market, right? You see how choppy this thing can be. You see how quickly gains could be erased on the intraday. Like, look at these dump outs, right? But you also see how resilient the market is. So this is like actually day traders heaven, right? Day traders delight. You can identify the ranges of these moves and then try and, maybe tack on a little bit on top of that. And so one of my favorite ways to do that is, and if you're opening up a new trade, you should always, in my mind, be identifying what your risk reward is, right? And so I'm planning on having a conversation with Izzy and Profit and anyone else who's interested at some point about what actual confirmation is. And part of that confirmation conversation to me is that once you've hit some solid support, or you've tested support a couple times and you're bouncing, you can size for that support with a short leash, and then from there feel comfortable knowing that there's a little bit more, that maybe the confirmation isn't 100% yet as it's confirming, but you've sized for the actual position. Anyways, so we'll get into that at some point. But what I'm trying to say around your evolution as a trader is you can take a trade and you're maybe getting a winner, right? You're in profit, and you're saying to yourself, okay, I want to let this run. Well, there's two ways to do that, right? You can do it mechanically, where you say, okay, until this closes, if you're short, until this closes back above the 8, or if you're long, until it closes below the 8 EMA on the intraday, I'm going to ride this this trade. That's absolutely one way to do it, right? If you got a good entry on a pullback, then there's no reason that you can't do that. It makes it easier. Obviously, when you get the pullback, you find some support, and you get the full extent of the move. If you do that and you've identified, like you just saw me put in all these different levels, right, on SPY, and you've identified all these different levels, and you say, okay, I think that there's enough room here. The next level for this to test is, is the pivot point to this horizontal level, right? Or we'll just say high a day from pre-market, right? That's 0.22% on SPY. Like, is that enough room to take a trade? I don't know, but say it was enough room to take a trade, and you're in a position, or maybe you're already long here off of VWAP, right? Set a limit order. If you're day trading, not here, right? Set a limit order. If this was your take profit target, that 0.22%, a quarter of a point, set an order, I don't know, 10, 15% of a limit order of take profit above that, right? Because how often do we get candles like this or like this, right? Where this is the support and or resistance, and the candle says, oh man, this could go, and it takes off and it goes through that support, but then it wicks back down below it and closes below the candle and then respects the level. Like that happens all the time. And so you take profit right here on that candle. It's like a stop loss the other way, right? You set a limit order for yourself here. You're going to miss out on this. And you're going to maybe feel bad about that. Now, are you going to get caught here and burned sometimes? Absolutely. How many times does it come around where the trade goes up here, it actually doesn't break through the support, it closed below that, and it makes a big wick? I don't know. I mean, it's not perfect. It never is, right? You're trading, and when you take profits is always going to be subjective. But if you can say, look at, and this is where trading your P&L comes in a little bit, and maybe this isn't the market to be writing winners and adding onto winners aggressively, but what I'm trying to say is if you set a limit order at the beginning, you'll say, okay, this was the extent of what the trade was supposed to be to begin with. And this can be an ambitious limit order. I oftentimes set ambitious limit orders. On NNE, my limit order was right here actually, like at this, because it hadn't hit high a day already, I didn't know based on the spread, the day's spread of what these options had already done. So I actually just said, okay, I think this is going to hit the strike price because I went out of the money, and I think it's going to try and test this level. Well, it did get right there just like that, and I said, cool, I'm happy with this, take profit. And that was an 80% win, and so if you identify what your target is, your take profit, I think you get a lot of opportunity from that. So yeah, Doctor, give that a try. I think it might work out for you. Fried Donkey, that's a cool name. Hey, I found the cloud line on Disney. Thanks for pointing that out. It looks so much worse in hindsight. It's okay, dude. It is how it is. What's going on, Red? Exited IBM and Elf longs this morning. Could have got another 50% on both if I'd held to now. No thesis was invalidated. SPY was not looking bearish. Great example of being fearful of profits. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Look what SPY did this morning. I even said it in the chat, like, if you were long in here and you swung overnight, and you saw this pre-market move, and you saw this dump out, like the only thing that was telling me to get long was this hammer. Like I saw that hammer and I was like, all right, what's the strongest thing? Let's get long. And that was NNE for me at that time. It was ACLO and SMR, but I was like, there's another opportunity with maybe something like NNE. And here goes TEM. Let's go TEM. Have a nice position in TEM. It's now in profit, so we'd love to see it. But what were we just talking about? Okay, so yeah, if you saw this, like, it's not a bad habit to get in terms of trying to take profits at open. If you were in something that was strong, then ideally it opened strong. I don't know, let's look at Diz. You messaged them as soon as I get the alert. That's funny. Yeah, Disney looked like it dumped out a little bit, but look, after the first candle, if you held that, you would have been fine. I don't hate it. It's making a nice breakout. You have a ton of cloud levels that are coming in here, and I think I looked at this one yesterday, and like we said, yeah, there's that H plus that is relevant, but would we retest that? That wouldn't surprise me, but it's not as strong today, and that's okay. Like these stocks, they take a break. So people had mentioned that. IBM was one we looked at as well this morning. I mean, it looks good. All-time highs. How do you trade this though, right? Extended, maybe some continuation off of good volume yesterday, continuation off of volume from the bounce here on Friday 25th. This is what you're looking for in these all-time high stocks, to be honest. Like anyone can see this, right? This looks great, and now everyone's like, yeah, IBM's great. So if you traded it in here, great. If you traded it off the breach of this horizontal level or finding support off the 8, great, even better. But like, to me, how do you know that's going to do that? I mean, IBM does tend to do that. If you look back, IBM is a slow mover, but has been grinding up for a long time. Like, look at this move, right? But ideally, if you're like the rest of us and you want to wait for a pullback, especially, and you're looking for a good setup on the D1, this is a perfect example. Test of the, breaking through the top of the cloud, retesting the top of the cloud, and the 8, bouncing off of that significantly, retesting some key levels and getting through them. New all-time high right here, right? Okay, you're going to expect a pullback. Look how extended you are from the 8, pulls back to the 8. this is also a key level. Couldn't hold that level, so it's going to dump out and it's going to test the 15. What does it do? It hammers off the 15 and bounces back through the 8. Doesn't want to get back above these levels here in the former relative high. Cool, pulls back again. Big volume came in for whatever reason. Engulf back above those levels. You know, maybe you're set your alert back up here. Boom, can take off. I mean, there's no guarantee to it, but this is like kind of an extended bull hammer a little bit, right? Bull flag rather. But yeah, IBM for whatever reason has been a killer since even like that bull market from last year. It's been really good, so not bad. Yeah, QCOM's nice. Yeah, I really like the idea of setting limit orders. Like maybe you are handicapping yourself a little bit, but I will say, like, when I talk about managing trades for me is sitting here with this view open on TraderView or on Schwab, and I have the order status up, and I'm looking at trades, and I'm looking at the bid and the ask, and I'm looking to see how it's moving against what I have, and I have the buy to open, and I'll have open orders of limits of where I want to, you know, close out a position. So that's what it is to me to manage a trade, and how to be able to, you know, if you've been around long enough, you hear me say, like, jockey the spread, being able to navigate your way through what that trade looks like. So yeah. Okay, so it sounds like there was a discussion in the Discord about Tesla. So let's take a look at it. I'm gonna open this up here. Are we supposed to read from the bottom? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. Pete said, I'm watching Tesla. I like the breakout yesterday in the late strength, but I don't want to chase. I want most of the gap to hold. Shacklish went long Tesla with calls. 620 at 21. If it fails to break the high today, I'm taking profit. He says, I'm going to keep hammering this point because it's super important. So Tesla got above you up. You want to get long. If you jumped as it was going, my calls got as high as 22. But if you put it in an order around, you could have gotten in at 21 like I did. And now I have $1 cushion. Okay, so this is a perfect example, right, of putting in a limit order for a trade where you want something that, well, to be honest, I don't think it looks great either. But I see where he's coming from, right? And so I absolutely agree. If you put it in a limit order at VWAP or below, and it decides to do something like, okay, we'll just do this. Next candle. Okay, puts in this hammer here, right? Say that hammer was enough and it decided to take off, right? And you're here and you're like, man, I like this. I want an entry. Well, you can look at the range and try to eyeball what the low of the day range is if you're using options, and what the high of the day range was. And you can say, okay, I'd be happy taking an entry like at this price point. What do I think that price point would be? If it's in shares, it's super easy, right? You can just set your limit at, 332.20 or whatever it is, or just below VWAP, and you'll get filled at VWAP. And then you can say, yeah, I have a super short leash. You could set your stop loss if you want below VWAP, which you would have gotten executed on. Or you could say, you have your stop loss, and then you say you want to hit high day pre-market. Well, that's probably going to take the market to get up there. So you could set a limit order at 336.50 or something, and you know exactly what that profit looks like. You know what it's probably going to take to get there, which is the market taking high a day. From pre-market, and you have an idea, right, of what the trade should look like. That's pretty much it. I will agree though with Otto. I don't think exit long Tesla 50 cents didn't like the struggling to advance with the market getting through high day. Might be a tired horse at this point. We'll revisit. Otto says, why even trade Tesla today? Gap up, M5 consolidation. To me, that reads attempted gap fill and then indecision on holding patterns. You have stocks like AVGO, Roblox, SMR Shop. All of these are moving with serious conviction. Do not get stuck in the mindset of trading one stock. I mean, I tend to agree. I think that Tesla is still newsy, right? You're still digesting some news here. You know that Trump and Elon are now, trying to get buddy a little bit here, and see if things are going to get better. I mean, does this continue to get back into this consolidation? That wouldn't surprise me at all. Right? Why would it not, having dumped out on news? right? This dumped out on news, this dumped out on concerns that Elon was burning bridges. Well, as soon as, we got back through some of these SMAs with some conviction, breakout yesterday, market's strong. Tesla has been strong. We also know that there's other news coming on Tesla around the robot, right? They're getting ready to do something. I'm sorry, the taxi. They're releasing it in Austin, I think. So keep all that in mind. But yeah, that's kind of my mindset. QCOM does look good. I think I called out QCOM this morning. What else did we call out this morning? We like Shop a lot. It hasn't done a ton since the early morning move, but 5% is pretty ATR-ish for it. What do we have on Shop here? You got a lot of room up. And we saw Shop yesterday. Go back in the Discord. Called out Shop yesterday. I even texted my cousin about it. A bunch of horizontal resistance in here that we'll have to take into account. Probably can go back and look at cloud lines. I mean, is there enough room for Shop in here? Likely. I'm still of the mindset that I think the market needs a pullback at some point. But look at that. There's still 6.8% until you get here. We just got an alert for SMCI. Let's see what that looks like. Why did we get an alert from SMCI? It's breaking through this H minus. You have about $1 and some change to the top of the cloud. I don't love to trade SMCI because it's kind of newsy and it's also in a much worse position than some of the other SMH stocks. But you can't deny a breakout. Does this test the cloud and then to here? Likely. What does that look like? 17%. You know this thing's a mover on stupid news. There's some horizontal that's going to come in here that's going to be important. And also cloud lines that you should, take into account. I mean, you can see it here. Can you trade in between these lines? If you don't take the full 17%, cool. If you can, find an entry on something like this, test this line, break through, pull back, take the next level, that's enough room to take a significantly good trade. 7%. I don't know, but I like it. What did I just do? I just went full screen on accident. How do I get out of that? There we go. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Auto agrees with themselves. Plus Tesla's up conditional. Yeah, I tend to agree here with those. Reek says, I agree with Auto, but I also understand the trading ticket that you're familiar with is certainly an edge too. That makes sense. I think there's something that needs to I used to like to trade Tesla a lot. I thought it was, for a while there it was a good long, and then for a while it was a really good short. So yeah. Those are expensive options too, right? So you got to be careful with that. Let's see. Jesus. Anyways, yeah, I mean, Shopify still looks good, and it has continued. I tried to get an entry here. I couldn't get it. I mean, that what is a quick 50, 60, 70 cents to the second standard deviation. Still had a pullback, and it's continuing to grind back up to the second standard deviation. I can look at the chain. I had it up here. It was... what was I going for? Oh, this was it right here. I was going for June 20th 110 calls. They had the best volume and open interest, and the delta was 7. It was like close to 7. It's now 0.77 because the price actions moved up, and I was trying to get filled like closer to 6, like 620. So this would have been a dollar a pop. Probably would have gone at least 10 contracts. Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. Identification yesterday into what's happening today. So we'll get through the interesting list. QCOM was nice. What's Tem doing? Still going. So I have a really nice position in Tem here. I'd like to see it up closer to $75. That's where my original entry was, back here somewhere. I don't know. I think it was like in here. I can't remember exactly. And I've since averaged down, and bag held this for a while, but we'll end up taking a profit on it here. So yeah, and this one's a little bit of a Momo, a little bit of a Mimi stock. We know that, but we got 500 shares of that guy, and it's gonna be a good trade. Where are you reading all this? It's all in the Discord. Blake likes PLTR, Roblox, Shop, V, Oklo, Microsoft. So MA, I got an alert this morning. Nice breakout above this H minus. These guys are slow movers though. That's the problem, right? These are grindy. I guess you could try and trade this breakout because you have some room here, but it's going to require the market to continue upwards. V's the other one that looks real good. And if we look at XLF, okay, so I made a point about IWM, but look what IWM's been doing this morning. Just bouncing up right against the 200 until it breaches the 200. There's a little bit of a lid on the market here, but this is indicative of risk off, right? IWM is a basket of riskier stocks than the market, S&P 500. And so if you see this moving up, it's indicative of risk off. If you see BTC moving up, it's risk off, right? If you see SMH continue to make new highs, what does that tell you about this market? TAN is risk off too. If we see that breach the 200, there's something there. XLK, new relative highs. QQQ, right in line, right? MAGS, right in line. Pulling back a little bit, maybe some weakness on the intraday comparatively. Nope, about the same. XLV, so we'll just run through all the sectors real quick. Breaking out today. Healthcare, I think I got an alert on PFE this morning. And we can look at the other healthcare real quick. But yeah, look at Pfizer was testing the 100 today. What else do we have in healthcare? Myrna has come up because of the bounce off the 50. It's stuck here in the cloud. You got a lot of garbage to get through to get to the top of the cloud. Is there a trade here? I don't know. Probably not. It's not the best long, that's for sure. UNH we know is a bottom feeder, so there's nothing there. LLY, this one, I got an alert since where did I get an alert? I got an alert here at the horizontal. I thought maybe there was a trade to the 50. There was, but it's not high probability. Now look at that candle yesterday. Pretty much an engulf of that entire space after the breakout of the 50. And now we're going to test the 200. I mean, this thing's nonstop. This thing's going to pull back at some point, but we'll just set an alert here. This is, the Ozempic trade, basically. But yeah, where would I be interested? If this broke through the 200 or rejects the 200, bounces here. We'll see what the market does. If the market's weak, is this going to come back to the 50? If the market's strong, is this going to retest the 200? That's how we would look at a trade like this. AbbVie, another one, testing the 200. Kind of interesting. Look at the inversion of some of these SMAs. Where's the 200 here? Oh, it's right here. I mean, I don't think these are easy to trade right now, but you're getting some pretty clear lines in here in terms of, what you can do with this. Get rid of the red one. I used to have a position in here at some point. For whatever reason, I don't. TMO, bouncing, testing the 50, BMY. Okay, nothing really here in XLV, but we'll just leave it. It is breaking out. XLY, consolidation still, gold, hack. XLC, moving up, makes sense. Look at Microsoft, right? Look at Meta pulling back a little bit here. Okay, look at this. Rejecting what? Rejecting this H plus on QQQ. Looks like SPY's doing the same thing. I don't know. Is there news coming in right now? Oh, the fentanyl halt is on the table, says Lutnick. Is not on the table. All right, we'll catch up here in the Discord. I used to trade Tesla, yada, yada, yada. People are in Microsoft. I think that's a good trade, but look at this pullback. And what were we literally just saying, like, earlier when we were doing D1 market analysis? And we're talking about taking trades and talking about, you know, hating that we, you know, leave some on the table. Well, look what's happening right now. Exactly what's been happening yesterday. These dump outs. Look what's happening today. The same exact thing. And this move was so strong off of this level that it went straight through VWAP. And where did it test? It tested this cloud level. I don't know, man. But it's all about, you know, levels of support and resistance. Now look at this engulf coming back. This market has no idea what it wants, but you can trade it. I digress. H minus coming in at 71.30. Did I not have it on there? Let's see. What did I do at 10? I think I took it down on accident. From when? One of these days? I'm not as concerned about those days. Maybe they're relevant, but that's fine. I want to see it break this level. I want to see it get through this pivot point and get through this horizontal level, and then I'll start thinking about taking profit. Or at least some of the shares off. So, but yeah. Like, you have to, in this market, expect candles like that. And what did we see in the price action here? Right? Saw a like a weak test of this pivot point. Try to get through. Hammer. You know, wimpy hammer. Another wimpy hammer. Right? But can't break through. Bearish hammer. Okay, we don't want to break down yet. Another bearish hammer off of the second standard deviation. Oh, looks like we're going to take off. Nope, didn't get through. Dump. Right? That's what it is to kind of like look at PA, and it's easy to say that, but once you get to this point here and you start seeing some consolidation at this level, which was perhaps a pre-market level as well, something has to happen here, right? And you're asking yourself, what are the odds that this continues up? What are the odds that this continues down? I'd say there's probably about a coin flip right there. That it could have taken that level and tested high day in pre-market, or that it comes back to VWAP. Now, you know, this move, we stair step. It's more likely that you bounce here and then you go to the next level if the market is strong. But, you know, we're in a tough spot here. And was there some news involved maybe around Lutnick saying that about the fentanyl trade? I don't know, perhaps. Time right. The thing about trading is, like, you know, in any Discord, in any community, everyone's got an opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's good to get various opinions. But you got to recognize that, you know, they're still just opinions. And opinions are like assholes. Right? Everybody's got one. And so, you know, just like you're doing your due diligence in the outside world and anything you do and anything you're going to buy and anything you're going to consume, you know, whether it's knowledge, food, anything, right? You have to do your due diligence. And so don't trust me. Don't trust anyone, right? Look at their body of work. Look at what they put on the table, you know, and let them show you, you know, why you should listen to them. Anyways, food for thought. And with that said, I will throw on a little this is what I've done this week. Off of 6 trades, 6-0. And right now, Tempest, if this keeps going, I mean, this is another $1,000 right there. Plus, I mean, it's been a pretty good week. And then, to be honest, I was trying to take it easy this week because I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and I don't want to, run off into a holiday having a, a stinker on my hands. So, anyways, give me a second here. I'm not really planning on going long today. I mean, I think this is, I'm expecting more of what we saw yesterday, right? Bullishness, continued bullishness, float up, that we'll see. Sorry, I'm still catching up in the Discord. Why is this? It keeps flipping back further and further. Dave says, the more often the threats are repeated, the less impact they have on the market. The boy who cried wolf, around headlines. There's certainly something to be said around that, right? A little bit of, this is the taco trade, right? But yeah, Lutnick says, you can say China tariff levels won't change from here. It's definitely interesting. Let's look at some of the other trades in here. People have gone long Roblox. We can look at that one. IBM continuation. Roblox on the D1 looks like it had a nice pullback. Intraday, it looks like it's pulling back to VWAP and below. I mean, that's the thing, right? These, you never really know with some of these how long they're going to keep doing this, and how long they're going to ride the 8 like this, right? Because the longer they go without testing the 15, the more likely it's going to happen, right? And you still have volume coming in here, which looks good, but the volume is also coming in on the sell side too. So you got to be careful. If this puts in a double top, this might be it, right? And so you got to set your expectations accordingly. And so you've heard me say it, before, or you've heard me say it 100 times. These stocks that are, running up, making, moves like this, just straight stepping straight up, pretty much. Maybe it's, kind of just a grind. I find those very hard to trade. I like to be in and out of my positions quicker than that, especially in this market. And you can definitely get good at catching this move, being in here and getting long. But that move is not, for me, as aggressive. Like, I mean, how big is that move? 3% if you catch it perfect? I don't know. Is there enough to take a trade? That's up to you. Look at this, almost engulf in 2 candles. Lutnick's such an idiot. All right, we had our futures guy taking a futures trade overnight. He gave his justification. It looked like it was going to be great overnight. I don't know if he could have traded it and closed it overnight, but it sure looked good. Mordium, probably the trade of the day. On Oklo. Looks really good. I looked at Hood this morning too. We can look at that. We'll look at STZ. Hood's bouncing. We know that this pullback was off of the S&P 500, lack inclusion. I think it still looked good. We saw that there was a lot of bullish option flow if you follow the trading edge stuff. Yeah, I see it. Still looks good. It's on its breakout. It's got its 8 retest here in the last 2 days, whether that was because of S&P 500 or not. It's hitting some horizontal here today. We'll see. I think it's probably going to need the market to keep going. Shop new high a day. Someone said I like O a lot. Look at this breakout from O. This guy's not a big mover. This is a REIT, probably one of the best ones out there. I have position in this in shares that I've been DCAing into. This is actually down here somewhere. I don't know. In my IRA. So I quite like that. Let's look at Shop one more time. Yeah, I mean, dude, this thing was fantastic trade. Pulled back even. Okay, so this is a perfect example of stair stepping, right? You got your VWAP test here early in the morning because you get a lot of volatility in the morning. You get your retest to the high a day, new level, and this retest was instantly after when SPY was doing nothing. SPY hardly was getting above VWAP, right? So you look at Shop again intraday. Where'd it go? Here it is. Pulling back, riding the 8. Market's been moving up through here with up above VWAP to test this pivot point. And if we go back to Shop, consolidating at this level, one leg higher, testing that second standard deviation, pull back to the 15. This is stair stepping. This is straight stair stepping, right? What's next? Well, it's testing the 8 again. Is it going to come back down and take the next leg lower? Is it going to retest the high day? Well, it's relatively strong. What's the market doing? The market's doing the same thing. And so maybe it's lost some juice. I think, this probably scares people a little bit, right? What do we always say on the D1 when you see a big candle with lots of volume? That's a scar on the chart. Well, guess what? On intraday, it's no different. And if you look at yesterday, that's a prime example. Big dump out, whether that was news or not, tested 600. Bullish enough to get above that and make a new high a day. Guess what? You start to see some momentum to the downside. Boom. Takes off again. Probably because of this, right? There's fear there. There's more fear later than the day. That fear has not subsided. STZ. Let's look at that. Great short. Look at that thing. Finding new lows. Broke down from an L plus here at some point. You have maybe something else here. I don't know exactly where. You probably have a larger L plus. Yeah, you're going to have some horizontal coming in here. Right. Let's just do this. I mean, down here looks perfect. COVID. There you go. If you don't have that L plus on your chart, guess what? You're about there. I'm sure Reeks is aware of that one though. IBM grinding higher, Shop long, AFRM pullback. Let's look at that. Izzy said finally a pullback forming in the market 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Wendy's low a day, Dash new high a day, Netflix nice. I mean, Netflix has been consistently nice, right? And so what did I do this morning? I ran through and I looked at the mags and I said, okay, what's the mags doing? Well, Apple's the weakest. That's why it's right here on the right side. We know that. It can't get back above the 50. It's been struggling to do so the last 3 days, right? And now look at this. Harry's going to be in profit here. Nice short. Tesla. I said this one was also weak comparatively. I don't love it here. Nvidia's in the same boat, struggling to get above this H minus. Finally did yesterday, and you see this price action in the morning afterwards and at the end of the day. Like there's still something here. If Nvidia keeps going, this market's going to keep going, right? Amazon finally getting a little bit of a pullback here, so maybe weaker than some of these other ones. And then we can move it over. It got above the significant cloud level yesterday and hammered, but couldn't find some continuation. Is it just taking a day of rest? It's very possible. We'll see what QQQ does. We know that QQQ is at a tough level here in terms of this H+, and there's probably some sort of like channel forming here a little bit. I don't know. Maybe here? Hard to say, but there's definitely resistance forming right in here on QQQ. So what can we do? We can set an alert up here, and if it breaches it, we'll know that something's up, something's in the water. Google. Also, nice breakout on Monday. Yesterday, confirmation. Today, slight follow through, but kind of weakness below VWAP today on the intraday. So we can bring this one back down. Nvidia now moving back above VWAP. Costco. This one is one I sold some puts on. Look at the 50 moving up. Look at the 100 moving up. This is now going to be support. The puts were at 980. They are in profit. They're like 50%. Let's see here. Meta actually kind of weak intraday as well here, so we'll bring this one back down, but same thing here, right? Still above the 8, chopping around up here above the top of the cloud. At some point, if the market continues, this is a good, bet that this could probably retest all-time highs. Costco, we talked about that. Microsoft and Netflix, probably the two strongest ones. We saw Microsoft easy early this morning, took a break yesterday, just like Netflix has been pulling back. So look at this bounce, right? Is it off the 20? Unclear, but look at the volume that came in yesterday on Netflix, especially at the end of the day. Pretty bullish, right? What was the market doing at the end of the day? Also the same. I don't know, but Netflix is like this, right? This is what Netflix does. In between good earnings, it then just rides the 8. It'll test the 8 a couple times, get some nice volume off the 8. When it breaks below it, hardly can't get back below it. Look at this, right in the 8. Okay, finally, get below it. Test 15, test the 21, bounces anyways, right? I mean, this was a pullback into the earnings as well. Gap up into earnings. This is what Netflix does. Microsoft is becoming that too. Look at this gap up in earnings, big move up. Microsoft had been weaker, but now we're at all-time highs. What do you see? You see an H plus here. Perhaps there was an H plus here at some point that we breached last week. I don't know. But you could have looked at that and said last week we breached that H plus, right? This candle right here. Thursday, June 5th. What does that look like on SPY? I know what it looks like on SPY. Do you? Pullback. Look what Microsoft was doing the day that the market pulled back. Maybe we should have been long. Something to think about. Okay, let me go back through here. Wayne, don't look at it. Micho, how confident are you on the market? 1 out of 10 at the moment. I mean, I'm expecting a pullback. I'm in cash right now, aside from a couple long positions that are just shares that have been kind of clawing their way back. I don't really. I mean, I think that you're gonna keep seeing these sorts of things as news comes in. You're gonna keep seeing, this choppiness, and these key levels start to act as resistance. And that's what always happens as you get closer to all-time highs, right? The clouds get thinner. There's less levels of resistance up here, but those resistances become stiffer. And so, we talk about the macro environment. We talk about everything that Pete calls out. Prophet has some thoughts on the macro environment. I have thoughts on the macro environment. I am expecting some level of pullback, but if you go back to my previous videos from last week, like I said, I'm envisioning a July 4th golden cross and then a retest into all-time highs. That may come sooner than I even imagine here. That may come before the end of the summer. I said end of the summer, all-time highs. So we will see. Doctor likes Oust and VKTX. VKTX, isn't that Viking? Jesus. I mean, this is obviously Momo. Semiconductors. Interesting. I've not heard of these guys. 3D vision to machinery. Decent volume. All right, let's add it to semiconductors and we'll start monitoring it. Oust. Never heard of Oust. Interesting. Also share soar after... Okay, so it's news. Department of Defense approves LiDAR contract, probably. Let's look at the intraday just for fun. Yeah. BKTX. Obviously some news coming in or something right now. Maybe not. Just breakout. 100. I mean, it looks good. This move, though, I mean, you can tell this thing's been beat to shit. Is there an H minus coming in here somewhere? Not for a ways. Yeah, I see it. It's not bad. I remember trading this a while back. I don't know. Perhaps. Let's throw in some AVWAPs. All right. Cool, cool. Izzy thinks there's a double stop. Top forming, still waiting for anything. An entry to anything. Neil likes the relative weakness on Apple. Prophet says that Lutnick is the least reliable out of the bunch. I would have to agree. Yeah. Anyways. I don't know. What do you guys want me to run through? Talk through Spot from Timar. Let's take a look. I mean, this thing's obviously just been great. Same thing. Grinder continues higher. Like this was just an LTI stock. Like look back. Look at this thing. Non-stop. I mean, personally, I pay for Spotify. I think it's a great product, great business. I get it. I don't have shares in it. I wish I did. Versus something like Roblox, which I think is a terrible product and a ridiculous business proposition. I don't see it. So like all this price action and everything that we're seeing, like it's pre-profit. There's nothing here, right? This is like Metaverse 2.0 garbage. So I never really I don't see this, and because of that, I'm not really as interested. Just chilling to stream music. We got different music today. Normally we play Fort Hill, but wanted to try something out a little bit different. I did see this guy that I watched stream. He, I think he pays for some sort of AI that you can like provide some lyrics that you would like to hear in a song, and it makes a song based on like the genre that you're looking for. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I'm making a starting song. That would be funny and cool. Yeah, I think this is a tough spot right now for SPY. You're gonna test view up here. What's QQQ doing? It's not stronger and or weaker. If anything, you could just kind of go through here and identify your relative strength. You could check out sectors again if you really want to. I think there's some alerts worth setting on some of these sectors. It gives you a little bit of a clue about where you're going. And so I think like this H- on XLF, is this relevant? I don't know, but it would be indicative of the continuation of a potential bull flag for XLF. I got an alert on XLRE this morning. Look at that. It's trying to take the 200. This is rotation as well, right? If it's not the mags that are dragging us up, there's other sectors in the economy that you should keep an eye on. So I'll reset the alert at high day today, just so we have it on the docket. Let me go through here and clean this up real quick. Delete the inactive ones. How many alerts do I have? 71. Not bad. So yeah, we're just doing a little cleanup here for now. I don't know if there's a ton else that I'm looking for. And like I said, I'm trying to keep it a little light here because going into... So I'll typically just day trading. Skynet when? Skynet's taking over, baby. So it's all over. That's what Mechabellum actually is, will be. Mechabellum is just a AI. We are training the AI on how to take over the world using robots. Mechs. Possible to drop a link to this sector watch list. I mean, this sector watch list is super straightforward. I mean, just... Can I drop a link on this? I don't even know how. Share list, copy link. There we go. Here, does this work? Boom. That should work, right? Look at VIX. VIX is putting in support here at low a day. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we just kind of float here. Soft news on inflation and stuff. Powell and the Fed are just laughing their way to vacation, saying, yeah, we're not going to cut. Why would we need to cut? Inflation's fine. They will, though, tomorrow be considering jobless claims. Okay, so here we go. That's going to be a tough number to beat there, boss. For the June 7th period. Oh, I'm going to screenshot that and put that in the Discord. That's funny. Lazy to add one. All good. But yeah, you got news coming in tomorrow, right? Jobless claims, PPI, likely going to be important. We know PPI came down significantly in the last reading. Let's see what this looks like this year, or this reading rather. And you have year over year as well coming in, so that'll be interesting. We do have Zembot here too if you want to use it. We haven't looked at this today. Let's take a look at this. If this tells us anything, TMUS is super weak. INTC, which had been strong yesterday, is now weak. Makes sense. LMT taking a hammering today. Kind of interesting there. NUE, so steel looks like it's struggling, and the airlines are struggling, which had been strong. We see STZ, which we already looked at, I think, or was that STX? I can't remember. STZ? STZ we already looked at, and here's your L plus that's gonna come in here. You know, you have about $1 left. Yeah. Is he in here? Profit? Any of you guys want to jump in here? You want to talk? Shoot the shit? Anyone else want to shoot the shit? Anyone have questions, thoughts? Otherwise, we're just hanging for now. I don't see a ton. It looks like nukes are still good. Let's look at those again. I mean, these moves are outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I mean, look at that. 27% today. What? What? Still high a day. SMR still looks good. Akla's obviously the best one, though. That's absolutely ridiculous. But, like, how can you chase this? You can't. You can't chase that. Would like to get Reeks in here one of these days. We had him before on one of the Friday mindset discussions, but I know he's slamming in trades today, it looks like, so I'm not going to bug him too much, but maybe when we get back in a couple weeks. Would love to speak with him. Would love to get Easy G-Man in here again, get some feedback from him. Doctor, you just got filled on Tem. Did you have a limit order to close it here? I see it. I mean, okay, so VWAP bounce here. From the Qs too. We'll jump through the interesting list too. I need to clean this up. That's something else we can do. I like to keep this list smaller, right? The smaller this is, the better you're narrowing down your trades a little bit in your picks. Johnny Kashish says relative weakness on UAL, which we just mentioned that the airline stocks sounds like they're weak. We looked at the S&P 500 map. Anything else earnings wise? Oracle today at the bell. We could look at Chewy or Visco and see what that looks like. Sale was one that the stock guy was looking at this morning. Adobe tomorrow at the bell. I don't know. None of this really speaks to me. Oracle has been good, but I think that's a run up. Ooh, see, and that's the one thing though. If you have multiple positions open and you leave limit orders on, and something like Tem is just going, you know, you might get filled. And I'm not saying that's bad. At least you took profit, Doctor. So either way, good trade. But look at this hammer. I like this hammer being put in. So we'll see what it does the rest of the day. But this thing is irrational. This is an irrational stock. This thing has news that behind it that all these people think that Nancy Pelosi is some sort of like stock investing savant who's taking advantage of all this information that she gets from her husband and from the government and every, you know, committee that she's a part of. Probably. But until they enforce their own laws and govern themselves, you know, that's never going to change. So, How long have you been trading for? How long learned before that? You can Exile look in my profile here in Twitch. There's a link to the to my my story. Check that out. But full time, this is year 2. And we had a very successful year 1. I think it'll be tough to beat that. The market conditions, obviously, last year were much better than this year. As of late, in the last month or so, I've been trading really well. Prior to that, I had a really bad April. But mainly it was just one trade. And sometimes one trade can really F you. So that's what it is. You got to be a good loser. So... All right, so the market put in a bear hammer off the 8 and the 15 and the 21 that is now doing a crossover. You know, are we going to test back to this cloud level, 603.60? Like we said, that's the top of the cloud. To get above and stay above this, we need some impetus. Oh, you had calls. I thought you had shares. Banger trade, dude. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I gotta adjust that. There we go. A little bit better. There she goes. There she goes. So we'll set an alert up here. I don't know. There's probably more horizontal in here. Kind of, I mean, definitely right there. Set an alert there first. Yep, but not a ton. Couple pivot points in here that we'll have to take out. Looks like there's one here. Anyways, nice trade, Doctor. I like it. And yeah, some of this is indicative of IWM. Let's see what IWM's doing. Go on the intraday. Do one of these. Do one of these. All right, IWM's pulling back, but now it's wedged between the 200 and this and VWAP, right? So we'll see a lot about the market right here, which is now giving up VWAP, right? QQQ also giving up VWAP. Let's look at that, the mags, right? Right now we should be evaluating relative strength, right? You have relative strength picks. Let's evaluate what they do as the market gives up VWAP. Are they holding VWAP? If they're not holding VWAP, these are not picks that you want to be in, right? So these are the only two from the mags. Everything else is giving up VWAP. What does that tell you? Micho, you just went long Oracle as we're giving up VWAP. What does that tell you? You better expect Oracle to do all the lifting, which it may, right? You have an earnings run up. Earnings is today at the bell. There's a chance that you can just, you know, run this to whatever you think the height is. But yeah, I mean, Izzy even said it himself. Why are we going long anything right now? So you better expect us to get all the lift itself. The highest you could probably expect it to is 180. I don't know. Is that enough room? I mean, that's 70 cents. You want to see this candle at least hold VWAP. And that requires Qs to hold VWAP too. That requires VIX to stop moving up, right? And VIX is also putting in support. All right, well, obviously horizontal here, right? We drew this on because of some sort of relevance, but you can see it. You can see all the touches right there at that level. One here, one here. It's actually a little bit above. I don't know. It's pretty close. Jesus, I gotta get rid of that. Why is it so loud? I thought I turned him down. All right.
Never fails to scare me. Short KR, she said she's level 18. I think KR was one that we were looking at the other day. Grocery store. Yeah, nice breakdown. I see it. I think at this point it may be easier to be looking for a short now that we closed this candle below VWAP. You know, pretty wimpy retest for the double top here, and couldn't get back above this pivot point. Now what are you looking for? You're probably going to look for, you know, how it's going to react to this cloud level. It's going to bounce around in here and then take a leg lower to test the low at this level, which is kind of coincides with the 1 standard deviation. It's possible, right here. Is it going to dump out further than that? 2nd standard deviation? 3rd? I don't know. You got AVWAP from yesterday as well that coincides with this cloud level. I'd say there's quite a bit of support forming down here. So I'm not sure it's that like cut and dry that this is, you know, an easy short. Is that a Gordon Ramsay slams a plate alert? No, it's breaking glass. I used to use it for when things were happening bad, but Trading Edge is like kind of weird, right? Like it, when you set an alert, if you forget to change what the alert is, it just uses the same one that you used for the last one, and so sometimes I forget to change it back to just the cash register or the beep or whatever it is. There's all these different stupid ones. Here. The one that I was actually thinking about changing it to the other day was this. The Raven. Or Bullfrog. That would be funny. Anyways. Alright, so we're bouncing here at this level, which is about right. This is, you know, this is just stair-stepping. This is intraday stair-stepping. That's all it is. That's all it is. You have a new level here now. You have one up here. You have one down here. And you can even see it tested this level in pre-market. And this was at 6 a.m. There must have been some sort of news here, or maybe the CPI got leaked. I don't know, but that's right where we bounced to, and right where we found support after Lutnick's news. So, I don't know. Yeah, didn't hear anything from Izzy or Prophet. I don't know if there's anything else. Anyone? We got 30 people in here. Appreciate you guys turning up. I don't know. Hopefully this was helpful. You gotta talk to TradingView then. I do have a shares position in this Procept, a little bit weaker today. Kind of interesting. When XLV was doing better earlier. Let's see what it looks like now. Now it's below VWAP, so we'll see. I'm happy to hold this one for shares. I think this is a newer stock. I think this has an opportunity to definitely break out at some point. Nice consolidation in here. Tem still testing these levels. Let's just, we already have an alert on there. I like to see when there's high day. You know, sometimes it's about getting some of the, you know, the positive dopamine and seeing that your trades are going in the right direction. But yeah. Yeah, the process is really the same as always, right? Exile, like, nothing changes. All right, here we go. Testing this level. This is AVWAP from end of day yesterday, and this is also the cloud level. Let's see. Mitra says, I have an L plus on SPY 4 touches. Izzy says market first, but when it's LPT, sure, don't buy when the market is threatening to break down. What is the PA telling you all? Isidore said there's a crazy aggro entry earlier in the day off the hammer, an entry on the 5-minute opening range breakout level, and that's it. If you're not long, then you have to wait, which I agree with, and that's when I was long, right in here. Dan says 30-year auction tomorrow at 1. That'll be interesting. Something to keep an eye on. And Pete says, why the Fed might cut interest rates. He has a new video out. Awesome. I will be watching that here later. I agree. I think that the Fed should cut rates personally. Look at that tail. Look where it went to. Guys, if this isn't like a screaming indictment of intraday PA, I don't know what is. Look at that. Right to the first standard deviation, right to this horizontal level. Look at the strength coming in. Let's see how this candle finishes. And there goes TEM. Right? Now we're bouncing. We're right at this cloud level. We know that this is significant horizontal because it's a significant cloud level. It's the top of the cloud. It coincides with the AVOP from the end of the day yesterday. This is pretty strong support here. Does this break down further? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, but it takes a lot of it. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I try to keep it real simple. Keep it simple, stupid, as they say. Some other people online saying market obviously becoming overbought, but I don't like really buy into the overbought, oversold shit. You know, a lot of this move, whether it's mechanical or not, like the TA is supporting this bullish move. But yeah, he says market obviously becoming overbought, but I'm seeing no signs of hedging / short positions in the options market this week. No VIX buyers. This is the old Wall Street saying never short a dull tape. Interesting. Which also plays into what? The idea that perhaps this is a technical move upwards. Teva. Let's look at Teva. This is a healthcare company. There are $24 call contracts through the end of the year. I mean, that's a pretty bullish leap play. Looks like it's holding the 200 for now. Not a ton here for me. I don't love it, but you like you see the consolidation. Where would we be interested? I mean, you could just set a level at the cloud here. Alerts are free, guys. Pete used to say this all the time. Alerts are free. You should set a shitload of. They're not technically free in TradingView, but you should set a shitload of alerts. There's no reason not to, because if you set good alerts, you're basically saying, "Hey, I'm interested at this point. Guess what? There's a chance for a trade if the market lines up. If the tailwind is right, got some good opportunity." Strong horizontal at 1825. I absolutely agree. Good shout, T-Mark. Dude, guys, there's people in here that have great eye, right? There's people in the Discord that have a great eye. Like this is, I said it yesterday in the Discord, and I want to reiterate it. I don't know of any other trading Discord out there that is both so friendly and welcoming, but also critical, but objective as well, right? The way that we call things out, the way that we look at things, the way that we have a a wiki that we can base all of our trading against, like that to me is the biggest thing that really keeps the conversation moving forward. But at the end of the day, right, like find me another better Discord or trading community out there. It doesn't exist. It really doesn't, or at least I haven't found it. And in my comment, I also said, right, I'd say people are better off having come through this Discord for however long to be exposed to the markets, and that's for better or for worse. Some people come in here and they blow up because they can't control their own impulses. But that exposure to finances in general is invaluable, right? I think if you spend some time in this Discord, at least, learning some real basics, some of the stuff in the wiki, like that can even influence your LTI trading. If you are the kind of person that says, all right, I'm an LTI trader, you could swing trade things and be long things in strong sectors as long as they're above all their SMAs, and be long on it until it breaks down below those SMAs, or the market does, right? And set some pretty standard rules on it, and you could be a long-term swing trader and do very, very well for yourself in line with the SMAs. I don't know, but something to think about. Looks like Reeks took his profit. I think that's probably the prudent play, because I'm not sure that we're just going to break down, of which, look at that hammer. So we said big volume came in, support formed. Look at this. Now we're back through VWAP. I think this is like choppy. I think this is pretty hard to trade. You could try and trade the range here, but the range has shrunk. Now you're about $1.50 or less. Could you say that it's going to retest this cloud level? Potentially. But you need to be really quick and have a short leash if you're going to do that. That's why we're here, man. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, chocolate. But yeah, people have really good picks always. And so, uh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think this is a pretty tough position to be in. I feel like the market's probably digesting some of the news. We know that there's more news on the horizon tomorrow. I'm expecting probably some LPTE today. So I would say keep your eye on Oklo. Like, is this move done? Unclear. Keep your eye on Shop. Look at this pullback from high a day here. I still like Shop, right? There's some key levels that this is going to need to get through, but we still like Shop overall. What is your gray line that the 11:45 candle hit on SPY? If it's an AVO op, what are you setting it for? This one? This is the first standard deviation. Sorry. My standard deviations are a little bit funky because I changed this fairly recently, and I didn't really know what to how to do this because I have so many different colors already. So I just used the gray as the first standard deviation. Green is VWAP, gray is first standard deviation, and then red goes second and third. And if you're using TradingView and you want my settings or anything, it's on all of them. I use that. I mean, these indicators don't change, right? For the most part. You can get rid of VWAP. The calculation on it, I don't know. I didn't change it. Let's see. Honestly, I didn't change it. I just got rid of some of the other garbage in there that I wasn't going to use. Look at this in golf. This is LPT. A white background. Listen, in other parts of the country, it's dark in the morning when the market opens, all right? I don't want to be staring at a flashbang on my computer screen. I play enough Counter-Strike for that, as is. I don't know. Anyone else have anything else? Otherwise, I think I'm going to call it because I'm probably not going to be taking any trades. Johnny says the market is running out of fuel. I agree. Yeah. Anyways, I think the thing that you guys should really consider too, like the conversation in live trading came up too that people want more critical feedback. I think critical feedback's good, and I think it's good to be able to take feedback. That's like, I mean, there's a lot of internationals in this Discord and in this community, but like taking feedback sometimes is the hardest thing to do, and I try to lay it on gently. But depends on the person a little bit and what they potentially need. But you know, it's also not my place sometimes to try and help people, to save people. Like, especially, you know, the 4th, 5th, 6th time, it's like, hey man, you know, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I said it in the Discord as well the other night, right? If you want feedback, post your trades, pass the wiki test, go in live day trading and post your trades. We will give you feedback. If you're not getting feedback and you've been posting trades for a while, it's because we've either given up on you or we just don't see the need to say anything. But yeah, if you really want feedback, say you want feedback. On top of that, people have messaged me about trades they take all the time. I'm more than happy to look at them. I'm more than happy to review them on stream. You just let me know. Because it's no different than what I do on a daily basis, right? You guys are shouting out tickers, and I'm here like basically, flipping charts, marking the charts up, doing the D1 analysis, and then at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, right? How's my process look? What does my process look like? How quickly could I put on a trade if I needed to? How quickly could I take off a trade if I needed to? How quickly could I do evaluation of a D1 chart? If someone says that, there's a stock that's going and I've never heard of it, and I pull it up, right? You see how quickly I'm doing D1 analysis. If you miss something, what does that mean to your potential trade? Right? Waynes, I'm not giving up on you. If there's a trade in particular that you want me to look at, I'm happy to. Just throw it in the chat. And otherwise, DM me and we'll take it offline. Dr. Trade over here made almost 100% on his options on his calls, and he's just angry. He's angry. Look at this Tem though, dude. Oh my days. It's yeah. Now you're probably looking at the order history and you're like, shit. What is it worth? Like 11, 12 now? Yep. Welcome to my life, baby. Welcome to my life. This level is holding on SPY. So I mean, what could you do here? You could literally just set an alert below the first standard deviation. You could set an alert here, and you could say, all right, I'm just going to F off until something happens. There's nothing here. Unless you're already in positions. So greed is a bitch. Greed, and this can bite both ways, for sure. I mean, if you had seen how much my Tesla puts were worth on the day that Elon and Trump had their bitch fit, we would have been laughing. I think I made like 16 grand that day on one Tesla trade. And if I had taken low of day, which of course you never do, it would have been, I think I made 100 and something percent, but it would have been 700%. So like a year's like $90,000 pretty much. So I mean, you're always going to leave some on the table. It's always going to happen. I think you have to be, content with the fact that you've identified a take profit or a level that you think that this could get to, and it gets there. What does that mean? You were right in your trade. Now, whether you can add into it and continue to hold it, that's an acquired skill, and it takes time in terms of managing trades. So, all right. Oh, man, it's still fucking going. Econo, I declare LPT. All right, guys. I think we'll wrap it there. If you're not following, shoot us a follow. I like to do this. I think it's valuable. It helps to me. Econo wants to know why I don't use his journal. To be honest, I don't journal right now. But maybe there's a world where I do. I don't know. Oh my God, look at this thing. Oh my gosh. Doctor, I know you're punching yourself right now, dude. I know you're punching yourself. Too good to journal? You're never too good to journal. But too lazy to journal is a good way of putting it. Yeah, this guy is a mover. This is crazy. I've been saying Tem since in here. Actually, I liked Tem here. It rejected that H minus, and I said, fine. Bad news in here. It got a downgrade, engulfed it pretty much. I added in here. I was like, hell no, this is going. Right? As soon as it broke out of here, I was like, all right, it's going to struggle to get out of here. It broke out. Even got above this level. I was like, this guy's going to go. And the pivot points. Look at the pivot points. They're right on target. Right? You had horizontal here. You have horizontal here that it's now catching a bid of resistance. The next one's up here. I don't know, man. I don't write the rules. I just put lines on my chart and I see what reflects. That's pretty much all I do. Nice, dude. Yeah, dude, your trading has been good. It's I know you took a little bit of a hiatus there for school and stuff, which is good. I for those of you that are a little bit younger, focus on school, focus on getting the bag first, and then you can figure out the rest later. And here's SPY breaking down 1 standard deviation. So that's what we said. I think there's more room to the downside than there is up. Yeah. I mean, focus on yourself first. Focus on what's important. Focus on your life. Live your life. Enjoy it. Have fun. And then you can always sit at your computer and put in the hours, when you get older. But the market's not going anywhere. So, all right, guys, we'll leave it at that. Like I said, shoot us a follow if you're not. I'll drop the YouTube link as well into the Discord or into the chat because this is where all the VODs are going, and I'm trying to start saving them all there. So that'll be cool. But yeah. We'll see what happens. Another key level of support here. Let's see if it holds. Is it there, or is it the second standard deviation? Looks like it's the second standard deviation. Is there news? I don't know. Breaking. China puts a 6-month limit and its ease of rare earth export restrictions. What does that mean? So after all this talk, we have no China trade deal. Oh, man. The taco. Quite the breakdown here. What's Apple doing? Probably breaking down big time too. Look at that. Through a pivot point. Great short all day after the rejection of the 200 or the 50 out of the open. Nice short. Did Harry exit that, or is he still in it? I don't see it here. I thought he was short Apple. I don't know. Perhaps someone can check on that one. But anyways. All right, guys. We'll leave it at that. Like I said, look at the sell-off. And that just goes to show you how much the tariff news is so big. And obviously China is the #1. Like, let's see. Let's see how resilient this market is, right? Is this going to put another big hammer in to this level? Is it going to bring us back up to 603.58? It's possible. What's below? We have 601.40, which was some support yesterday. You have a nice big pivot point here. You have this other H plus that was resistance, potentially now support. A lot of levels of support forming underneath. Let's see how bad this China news really is. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Like I said, we'll leave it there. Hopefully this was helpful. Yeah, Harry added to Apple 2 times. Yeah, I mean, it's a great trade. Look at that. The weakest of the mags. Can't get above support. We know that on China news, this does worse too because Apple is heavily invested in China. But look at the market now. Putting in a hammer. I don't know, man. Ton of resilience in this market. This whole week, it's been like this, right? This whole week, it's been like, man, this keeps going up. This can't keep going up. This can't keep going up. And then we get these dump outs like this off of, questionable news, and then you get a try of a retrace pretty quickly. You get another dump out on potentially questionable news, unclear, right? That's where the market is right now. And what does that tell you? We're ripe for a pullback at some point. So if you're long, you better be starting to think, I need to consider, maybe I need to take these longs off. So maybe TEM needs to come off the board for me. I don't know. Maybe I set a stop loss here on TEM. I'll keep an eye on it. But anyways, that's the thought process. That's where we're at. You guys have a good rest of the day. It's still early. There's still time for a late date reversal. There's still time for this to make a move and retest the high day. There's still time for this to just chop all through here. There's still time for this to break down too and test some levels. So let's see what happens. Trade well. keep your powder dry, size down a little bit here. There's no reason to be slamming in big trades. And yeah, have a good day, and maybe we'll get on again later this week. Not sure. But like I said, shoot us a follow if you haven't. Subscribe to that YouTube, and we'll go from there. Cheers, guys.